What is up, guys? Randomonium here with your fantasy LCS predictions for week 2 of the 2016 spring split. Right off the bat, in this video, I will not be spoiling any of the results from week 1. In all of my discussions, I'll just say players are playing well or players are playing poorly. I'm not going to say which teams won or lost in week 1, so that way if you haven't seen all the games yet, you can still watch this video and not have anything spoiled. So let's get right into the predictions. Alright, so for CLG in week 2, they're going to be going up against Team Liquid and Cloud9. Definitely not an easy week for them. I think that they have a slight advantage in both of these games. So I think they will go 2-0, but they're going to be nail biters, both of these games. And it's really probably going to come down to like one mistake that's going to be the deciding factor. Just like in week 1, Darshan is going to be the key for CLG. If they get him ahead, CLG will win. If Team Liquid or Cloud9 is able to shut down Darshan, or they're not able to get a lot of gold onto him, CLG is going to lose. I don't think that Huhi or Stixay are at the point where they're going to be able to carry the games. So yeah, look for Team Liquid and Cloud9 to both target Darshan in these games. Next up is TSM. TSM's got Immortals and Dignitas this week, and I'm really looking forward to the TSM versus Immortals game. I do think that Immortals is going to beat TSM, but I do think that TSM will beat Dignitas. The key player for both of those games is going to be Doublelift. Doublelift should have an advantage over Wild Turtle and Apollo. It's really going to be a grudge matchup for Doublelift to prove that he's a better AD carry than Wild Turtle, who was the former AD carry for TSM, so that'll be really interesting to watch. I also think that Yellowstar will play a huge role. Yellowstar is just a fantastic support. I do think that TSM has the potential to beat Immortals. However, like I've said previously, TSM usually starts the splits very slow. And Immortals, they've got so much potential that I think that early in the season, Immortals is going to beat TSM, and TSM will have a much better chance of beating Immortals later in the season or possibly in the playoffs. Next team we'll talk about is Team Liquid. They're going up against CLG and Echo Fox. I think that Team Liquid is going to struggle with CLG, but I do think that they will beat Echo Fox and they'll go 1-1. I think Piglet is hands down going to be the key player for Team Liquid this week. He should have a strong advantage over both Stixay and Keith, but the substitutions from Team Liquid may screw you like really badly for fantasy. So I would be very cautious about starting any of Team Liquid's players for a fantasy draft, because I know the previous week for week 1, some people got pretty pissed off because, you know, their starters got substituted game to game. So just be very careful who you play for Team Liquid for week 2. Next up is Cloud9. They're going up against Team Impulse and CLG. I think that that Cloud9 will beat Team Impulse and lose to CLG. I also expect that they're going to start Bunny against Team Impulse, because Team Impulse is a weaker team. They want to get some practice onto Bunny Fufu. But I think that they're going to substitute in High against CLG, because what the CLG game is going to really come down to is the shot calling. Whether or not Cloud9 can deny Darshan, and they're going to want to have High in that game. If they don't have High in that game, I don't give Cloud9 a chance to beat CLG. If High's in the game, they've got a really good chance of beating CLG. So hopefully the Cloud9 coaches will put High in for the CLG game, because there'll be a lot of fireworks in that game if High is in there. Next game, Immortals. So Immortals has a really strong, really hard week. They're going against TSM and NRG, which both have a ton of potential on their team. That said, I think that Immortals is going to still go 2-0. I think that they're going to be strong enough to overcome this difficult week. But this is going to be a great test to see if Immortals can live up to the hype that's behind their team. In these really close games, the first couple minutes of the game is everything. And when you talk about the early game, it's all about the jungler. And I think that Reignover has a huge advantage over Svenskeren and Moon. So look for Reignover to snowball one of the lanes early to give Immortals the win in both the TSM and the NRG game. Next team I'll talk about is Echo Fox. Echo Fox has a very tough week. They're going up against NRG and Team Liquid. I think they're going to go 0-2 this week. That said, if they're going to have a chance this week, they got to rely on Froggen. Froggen is their most experienced player. He's going to be the rock. They're going to have to play around him and get gold onto him and put him on a champion that he's very familiar with and very comfortable with and that he can carry with. But that said, I think that Echo Fox will probably go 0-2 this week. Alright, let's talk about Team Impulse. They're going up against Cloud9 and Renegades. I feel like Team Impulse is in free fall. Gate was originally supposed to be support, but in week 1 he played mid lane. I don't know where he's going to be in week 2. It seems like they're constantly doing these rough roster shuffles with Team Impulse. And I don't think they're going to be able to beat either Cloud9 or Renegades. So yeah, I think that Team Impulse is really going to be struggling until they can really figure out who's going to be the shot caller and what their actual team is going to be. For Team Dignitas, they're going up against Renegades and TSM. I think they'll go 1-1. I think that they will beat Renegades with just their superior shot calling. And I think they could beat TSM. But the only way they're going to beat him is with the shot calling side of things. So the key player for this is going to be Shifter. Shifter should be able to beat Alexich for Renegades, and he needs to be able to hold his own against Bjergsen in order to relieve the pressure on his team elsewhere. Kiri cannot afford to just be camping mid lane to help against Bjergsen. He needs to be able to get Smitty J and Apollo ahead. So Shifter's gotta bring his A game. He's got to bring his carry pants in order for Dignitas to do well this week. Next up is NRG. They're going up against Echo Fox and Immortals. I think they will go 1-1. I think that they're going to beat Echo Fox, but I think that they're going to struggle with Immortals because even though NRG has a lot of mechanical skill, you're seeing cracks in their shot calling. And I think a lot of that has to do with translation, right? You've got people who speak different languages. Conquan is their translator, but it seems like they haven't resolved all of those issues yet. That said, if NRG is successful this week, it's got to be because of GBM. GBM has got to carry his team. He's got to perform well against both Froggen and against Pobelter in order for NRG to do well this week. Next up is Renegades. They have Team Dignitas and Team Impulse on their plate this week. I expect that they'll go 1-1. I think the Dignitas game is going to be very difficult on them, and they're probably going to lose, but they should be able to win against Team Impulse. For Renegades, it's Freeze. It's all about Freeze. They got to get Freeze on a carry that he feels comfortable with, and they got to get him gold early. If they get Freeze fed, then they should have some pretty good success this week. Moving on to EU, Fanatic. They're going up against H2K and Unicorns of Love. Extremely difficult week for them. I think they're going to go 1-1. I think they're going to lose to H2K, but I think they should be able to beat Unicorns of Love. And surprisingly, I think the key player this week has got to be Gamsu. He's got to be able to hold his own in order so that Spirit can devote his attention elsewhere. You can't have Spirit just devoting all of his attention to the top lane. So Gamsu's got to bring his A game against a tough H2K and Unicorns of Love squad. The other thing is that Noxiac, he's got to be on point with his roams and his CCs. We saw in week 1 how dependent Fnatic is on these new players that they have. Fevabin and Reckles, they're always going to be those rocks. They're always going to play well. Whether or not Fnatic succeeds is really going to be dependent upon the other 3 members of the team and whether or not they bring their A game as well as Fevabin and Reckles. So yeah, I think Fnatic will go 1-1, but they do have the potential to possibly go 2-0. Next up is Origin. They're going against Unicorns of Love and Vitality. I think that Origin is going to lose to Unicorns of Love. Unicorns of Love has been showing some really good shot calling. But I do think that Origin will beat Vitality. But really the key player is going to be Sven. He was the Rookie of the Year last year. He's going against Hijarnen and Steelback. He needs to carry. Like he has got to be the backbone of Origin. He's got to step up. I know it's big shoes to fill. This is just his 2nd season, but he's got to have results this week if Origin's going to be successful. And the really big thing that Origin needs to step up this week is the shot calling. They had very poor shot calling in week 1. They've got the potential. They've got all these great players on their team. If they get better shot calling, they should do well in week 2. Next up is H2K. They're going against Fnatic in G2. Difficult week. All right. I definitely don't underestimate G2, and of course Fnatic's a great team. I do think that H2K will go 2-0, and I think they will go 2-0 because of Forgiven. I think Forgiven is going to have an amazing week. He's got very difficult matchups against Reckles and Emperor. But one of the things that Forgiven is fantastic about is that he'll just play safe. He'll just be farming up, and as soon as he hits a power spike, he becomes this dominating, hyper-aggressive carry. And he needs to do that. If H2K is going to go 2-0 this week, he's got to be on point. He's got to bring that A game and go like completely hyper aggressive once he hits his power spikes on whatever AD carry he chooses. So I think that H2K will go 2-0, and I think it'll be in a large part due to Forgiven. Alright, Unicorns of Love, they went from having like one of the easiest weeks in week 1 to having one of the hardest weeks in week 2. They're going up against Origin and Fnatic. I do think they'll go 1-1 though. I think they're going to probably beat Origin. I think they have a better chance of beating Origin than Fnatic at the very least. But this is going to be a real contender to see if Unicorns of Love can actually be a contender this split. It's also going to be really cool to see Power of Evil on Origin go up against his former Unicorns of Love squad. I have a feeling that the Unicorns of Love is going to wind up camping Power of Evil in that game, just to really kind of knock him down. That said, in these type of really close matchups against like Origin, Fnatic, it's the jungle pressure that's really going to determine whether or not Unicorns of Love can pull out the victory. So I'm making Diamond Prox the key player for Unicorns of Love this week. He's got to have some early impact in this game if Unicorns of Love is going to have a chance. Next team is Giants. They've got an okay week. They're going up against G2 and Elements. I do think that G2 has the advantage over them, but I do think that Giants is stronger than Elements, just mainly because of the experience level. I think that the key player is going to be Xpepe, because he's going up against Perks and Ika. He's got a good experience advantage over both of them. I would like to see Xpepe on a long-range control mage. I think he'll really be able to dominate his lane on that type of champion, and I think that he'll really have a huge impact. But like I said, I only think that Giants is going to go 1-1 this week. Our next team is Rockcat. They're going up against Element and Splice. I think that Rockcat's going to beat Splice, but they will lose to Elements. But these games are so important. Like, these kind of, when you're going up against these mid-ranked teams and you're a mid-ranked team, they're even more important than when you go against the top-ranked teams, because whoever wins these matchups between the mid-ranked teams, that's the difference between 5th place and 8th place. So the shot calling is going to be absolutely essential in a lot of these games this week in week 2. Week 2 is really, there's a lot of really close matchups in week 2. So it's really going to be dependent upon shot calling. That said, I think that Betsy's going to be their key player. He's going to be going against Ika and Senkus. But yeah, I think that they'll wind up going 1-1 unless they have really great shot calling this week. Alright, so Elements, they're going against Rockcats and Giants. Yet another, they're going against two kind of mid-ranked teams. Shot calling, of course, is going to be very important with them as well. I think the Elements will beat Rockcat and they're going to lose to Giants. But yeah, this is extremely important for them. They need to win these games to prove that they can, be a contender for that, one of those playoff spots. And I think that the key player is going to be Steve. They got to put Steve on a carry top laner, and they got to get him split pushing and have those impactful teleport plays. So if they're able to do that, they have a chance at winning both games this week. Next up is Team Vitality. They're going against Splice and Origin. I think that Vitality will not have difficulty against Splice. They should win pretty easily. However, I do think that they're going to wind up losing to Origin. I think the key player for Vitality is going to be Cabochard. He's going up against Wonderwear and Soaz. I think that he's definitely got an advantage against Wonderwear. I think the Soaz Cabochard matchup, that's going to be tough. But I think that the real deciding factor for Origin is going to be who can get the first blood or the first couple kills. I think the Origin game is going to snowball very quickly out of control. It's going to not be a long drawn out game. I think it's going to be very short, and I think that Cabochard is going to be a huge deciding factor on whether or not Vitality wins that game. Alright, next up is Team Splice. They're going against Vitality and Rockcat. It's not a horribly difficult week for them, but I don't think that they're favored in either of those matches. I think both Vitality and Rockcat are better teams than Splice. That said, if Splice is going to have any chance, Trashy has to have a major impact in the early game. He's got to be just all over the map. He's got to be relieving pressure. He's one of those people he's got more experience than a lot of the people on Splice. He's got to exert pressure in the early game if Splice is going to have a shot. Last team to talk about is G2. They're going against Giants and H2K. It's definitely a harder week for them than last week. I think that they're going to be able to beat Giants, but I don't think they're going to be able to beat H2K. That said, the key player this week is also going to be Emperor, just like he was last week. I'm really looking forward to seeing Emperor go up against Forgiven. The H2K game is going to be decided on which AD carry can impose their will. You've got two really great AD carries in Emperor and Forgiven, and it's going to be really fun to see who wins that matchup. So I definitely expect some fireworks in that game. So anyway, going down to the summary, you can see I expect that the two teams that are going to go 2-0 in NA are going to be Immortals and CLG. I think that H2K is going to be the only team that's going to go 2-0 on the EU side. And I've got my list of all of the key players and the people that they're going up against. And you can see that this week there's a lot closer matchups than there were last week. A lot of these games could really go either way. It's really going to be interesting to see who shows up this week. And I think that after this week, we're going to have a lot clearer picture on which teams are going to be contenders and which teams are probably going to not do well this split. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, if you think I got something right or something I got wrong, please leave a comment, and I'll try to get back to you guys. I definitely don't think that I have all the answers, but I think that my reasoning is pretty sound on a lot of these decisions. But I hope you guys have a great day. This is Ramonium signing off.